Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Neuro-Inclusive Dog Pod, the podcast where we bridge the gap between neurodiversity and the dog world. Today, I've got a really exciting guest for you all to listen to, but as usual, I'll let them introduce themselves because they always do a much better job than I could. So, welcome, Rachel, to the podcast. Could you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hiya, yeah, thanks so much for having me, Katrina. It's really good to be
Always.
here. So, I'm Rachel and I am a pet business coach. I help people when it comes to putting themselves out there and I help them feel more comfortable and confident, really, when it comes to telling people about the work that they do. So, I used to be a journalist. I got a dog and I started writing about like dog-friendly travel and dog products and that kind of thing. And then that led me to write obviously wrote more and more about the dog world. And
Mhm.
then I started a pet blog, and then I decided when people got in touch to be on the pet blog, um, they wanted to learn about getting press coverage. So I decided I'd write a book and I'd put it on the internet, and then that would be it. And I just carry on being a journalist. But thankfully, it turned into the business that I've got now because people wanted a bit more support. So yeah, that's a shorthand version of me and what I do. But yeah, now I'm pretty much 100% coaching really, and it's really good
Amazing.
and I love it.
Amazing. I love that. Like everybody that's come on the podcast, they always have a story behind like a dog that started it all off for them. And I
Yeah.
love listening to everybody's stories because they're all so different as well. So when it comes to your clients, what would you say that they are struggling with most when they come to you?
So I think I still get a lot of people coming to me because of my journalism background and because a lot of the stuff I do talk about is people getting press coverage. So it's really getting themselves out there, really raising the profiles.
Mhm.
But I think the reason why there's a few the people come to me for a bit more of a variety now, but a lot of the time the core thing is that they want to be more visible and they feel invisible, and it's really frustrating because they know they're doing really good work and they're making a difference. I work with people who've got like products. I work with service providers, so I do work with lots of dog trainers and cat
Mhm.
groomers. I've just been actually talking about somebody I've done some work with on the radio. She's a dog groomer. She's like a holistic groomer,
Yeah.
and they're doing really great things in their businesses, and they're really making a difference. But
Mhm.
the visibility side of things feels really hard,
Mhm.
and they feel like a best kept secret. And I know how frustrating that is because like years ago, I used to do a bit of volunteering for an organisation, and I remember them saying to me, "You're like our kind of secret weapon." And at the time, I was thinking, I need to be like, I need to be, having extra, having a new way to earn a living basically because
Yeah.
journalism is really drying out. And I thought, God, if I am a secret, I need to change that. So I get
Mhm.
it because I've kind of been there myself. But yeah, I know it's a bit long-winded, but that's the main reason why people come to me is because they do want to raise a profile and they want people to know that they're there and that their service can help people or their product can help people. And ultimately, because they want to make a difference, and it's hard, isn't it, being out there? But people need
Yeah.
to know that you're there so they can work with you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then that's it. I think there's so much noise online, isn't there, about marketing in general and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and
Yeah.
it can be completely overwhelming for people, especially if they're just starting out, or even if they've been doing all the things that they think they should be doing, but they're still
Yeah.
not getting visible. So when it comes to your clients, how do you help people like shut all of that shoulds and what to and what not to do? How do you help people with that and start tuning into actually what works for them?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's exactly that. It is about what works for them. So
Hmm.
now, when I first started doing this, I was helping people purely with press coverage because I had the background in journalism and that was the only thing that I did.
Hmm.
But one thing I noticed was quite fairly early on was I could help people when it came to writing a pitch to the local paper or to a dog magazine or wherever it was they wanted to be. And I could show them how to write a press release. I could do it with them, do it for them. But a lot of the
Hmm.
time, there was other things underneath that were holding them back. So
Hmm.
I realised that, yeah, okay, I know I can help people with getting press coverage and with being visible, but it's it's around the mindset and what's really going on underneath, and a lot of that was around confidence,
Hmm.
and thinking, who am I to say this, or what are other people going to think, and all of those things, and it would vary because there will be some, I would find some people would be very confident and they wouldn't have the credentials or the experience
Yeah.
of other people who had decades of studying and experience and degrees and masters and all kinds of things. But they really felt they just felt like they just couldn't do it, and it was really hard. So I
Mm.
decided to go and do my coaching training, which I started back in 2022, and it's ongoing. I've done ILM level 5 and ILM level 7, which is like master's level in coaching. And I'm doing some more training this year, as like we're in 2026 now, aren't we? So I'm doing some more training this year, and I try and keep on top of that. But yeah, there's so many different reasons that hold people back, and it's about digging into those and what they are. But also, when it comes to putting yourself out there, we have to do something, don't we? Like
Yeah.
there are lots of different ways that we can be visible, but we have to choose something.
Yeah.
So it is about thinking about what do you enjoy? What are your skills? Maybe you've brought something from your old work that you loved doing in your old job or you were good at that you can bring
Mhm.
into this one. So it's actually thinking, okay, I know you might have this new business and it might all feel really new, and you might not have you might have only ever been on Facebook as like a normal person sharing your holiday pictures or whatever before, and now you've got to do it as a business, and that's like it's really scary. But it's like,
Yeah.
actually, what have you already got? What strengths have you already got that we can use here that might help you?
It's interesting, isn't it? And that's it. And I think it's when we was having our podcast chat before we started recording this, and there's quite a lot of crossover, like in our interests, because
Yeah.
before all the dog stuff, I was training and doing all of my qualifications in counselling and psychology. And it's surprising, isn't it? Whether you're dog training, whether you're business coaching, in life in general, it's just surprising how much they all cross over. And
Yeah.
there's always little things, even going back to dog trainers, there'll be dog trainers listening that they can probably relate to when they're training the clients with the dogs. The actual problem or the need, the thing that need to work on isn't necessarily with the dog. It may be with the confidence that the owner has and stuff. So it's interesting just how much it crosses over, and I find it absolutely fascinating that I was kind of like, it was a light bulb moment for me when I was doing my counselling things, and then I went into the dog world and they started crossing over, and I was like, ah, this is interesting. I mean, I find it fascinating. It's really what lights me up. But one of the things that comes up time and time again, both whoever I'm talking to, whether it's dog training clients, coaching clients, whoever it might be, is worrying about what others do. There's a lot of noise in this industry, isn't there? And there's a lot of people with opinions, and you should be part of this thing, or you should be doing this course or that course. And it actually made me smile. Actually, it's something that you refer to as peer fear, isn't it? And I'd never heard it referred to that before, and I was like, oh, that's a perfect way to describe it. So when it comes to that, what do you think? Why do you think it is that people get that? And do you find that it is a big thing that people stop themselves putting themselves out there for, because they're just worried about what others in the industry think, more so than clients sometimes?
Yeah, and do you know what? Yes, first of all, and it's like it makes me sad to say this, but I know that this happens because I have people who come and join my calls or come and chat to me and will say, I really want to say this, but I can't because I'm scared. Particularly
Yeah,
people who are relatively new in the business as well. And it makes me really sad. And when I was like making my notes for this session, like let's be honest, right? The industry can be really brutal, can't it? Because
yeah,
we really care about our animals and we really care about doing things right. And ultimately, like, I know it's hard. I know it's hard sometimes to get your head around this. I know you'll be able to because you've got your background, but everyone is thinking that they are doing right, aren't they? Everyone is thinking they're
yeah,
doing a good job. Everyone is doing their best, and we have to
yeah,
believe that, don't we?
yeah.
And I know there'll be people who might be like throwing rotten tomatoes at the screen or whatever as I'm saying this, but people who suggest prong collars, they are doing that because they think it is the best way to deal with
Yeah,
the dog in front of them. So we have to
yeah,
think about that, don't we?
yeah,
And I'm not saying that that's the case. There are also all of the different,
yeah,
I mean, and remember, I'm only a dog owner, guardian,
yeah,
however you want to describe it. I don't know. I have really limited dog training experience of, just me as a dog owner
yeah,
when I got my dog.
yeah,
There's all these different ways that we can do things, and then there are people who call, force-free trainers snowflakes. There are people
yeah,
who, who've got lots of strong opinions about people who use aversive. There's so much going on, and actually, no matter what stage you're at in your career, sticking your head above that parapet is scary, isn't it? I get
yeah,
scared about it. But you can see I'm stumbling over my words a bit now talking to you because I'm like, am I going to upset people? Am I going to annoy
yeah,
people? And it's what I'm saying out of order, but that's just the lay of the land, isn't it?
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think when it comes to, talking about what we do worry about what other people are going to say, and
mhm,
we also worry because there's always going to be like someone who's more qualified than you, someone who's more experienced than you, no matter
Mhm.
what stage you're at in your career. Like I am doing, I've been studying as a coach for it's coming up to 4 years now. And I post things on social media about that I've learned as a coach, and I'm still like reticent because I
Yeah,
feel like, oh my gosh, these people who are much more experienced than me will be thinking, who does she think she's to say that? And she doesn't know very much. And I know that's
yeah,
imposter syndrome, and I'm a blooming coach saying that.
yeah.
That's what we all feel, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
the fact is we need to hear other voices and
Yeah.
and ultimately the peer fear. So the peer fear is just everything that I've just said. It's where you're sitting there thinking, I really want to say this thing. I really want to post this
Mhm.
about imposter syndrome, or I really want to talk about this breakthrough that I've had by doing X, Y, Z. But I'm
Yeah,
worried because it sounds basic, or I'm worried because I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, or I'm not qualified
yeah,
enough, or I haven't been doing this long enough, or that I'm challenging somebody else's belief. And actually, it's not your fellow dog trainers, or in my case, other coaches that you should be worrying about. It's the
yeah,
people who are sitting there with a dog who is anxious, or they're feeling, they're feeling really, really stuck when it comes to being visible, who need to
yeah,
hear from you, and that's
yeah,
what's holding you back. So I know we've talked about my planner before, but in my planner I put an exercise in there about things to come back with, like when you've got the peer fear, so you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I can't post this post because it feels really basic. And
yeah,
because, I remember talking to a massage, sorry for going off on one, but I remember talking to a lady who does canine massage, and she was saying, well, I've got all of this knowledge. I've got like degree level knowledge about the anatomy and stuff. And but what owners need to know is that, a massage will help their arthritic dog. But that seems so basic, and I need to be saying all this. And it's like, but
yeah,
no, I'm the dog owner with the arthritic dog. I just need to
yeah,
know that I just need to know the basics, and I just need to know
yeah,
it's going to help my dog move better, and that's all. And it's not about
yeah,
performing for your other canine massage, your vets, or whoever anybody else. It's me, the dog owner, who's got the arthritic dog, who
yeah,
needs to hear from you. So, like, I'm saying this to you. I know it holds me, it will hold me
yeah,
back. I've got loads of stuff sitting in my drafts. I wrote something about imposter syndrome this morning, and I know it. I'm going to post it, so I'm going to post it to you now. So I'll do
yep.
it. But
I'll hold you accountable.
yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, can I say this? But
Yeah,
I think as well, when you have the peer fear, if you are really, if you do really want to say something, and you do want to maybe caveat it by saying, I've been a dog trainer for 12 months, or I've been a dog trainer for 4 years, put that in
yeah,
there if that's going to make you feel okay.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
if you've got something you really, really believe in, and you really feel your people need to hear, then please
yeah.
put it out there.
Yeah, and I think it's important. There's so much that comes up there, isn't there? And I think when you've been on the receiving end of it, I've been in on the receiving end of it throughout. I've been in this line of work for about 11 years now in different fields and stuff. And it is what puts you off. And I think it's finding that inner confidence, isn't it? Sometimes to just
Yeah,
think, right, well, and having so confidence for me is a big one that comes up, but also knowing what to do, knowing that you may get a little bit of backlash, and knowing that that's coming and how you're going to deal with it really helps
yeah,
as well. So there's kind of that, but then also what's really helped me, especially doing the work I do now as a neurodivergent dog coach, is just being authentic and being me and just talking
yeah,
about experiences. Because yes, I get a little bit of backlash from people who knew me before and the agility
yeah,
behavior specialist and all of that. However, for me, I've kind of come at it from a new kind of perspective in terms that if I'm feeling it, other people are going to be feeling it. And if I don't say something, we're all going to sit here in silence and suffer basically, because nobody's going to open their mouth and talk about it because we're not prone to doing that. So
yeah,
the way that I kind of got around it is I was so authentically, like, now I did before all of the things that's happened to me during my dog industry years is now making sense because of my neurodivergence. But before that, I didn't know I was neurodivergent. So I was like feeling out of place, and I was going through imposter syndrome and all of these other emotions because I just didn't know what was wrong with me. And that made me so I was underconfident and I daren't speak up and things because I didn't want the confrontation and all of that. So for me, it's kind of like be knowing that it's okay and it's safe just to be ourselves is something. This is why I find the mindset work super interesting to pull it all in with, because I think that's
yeah,
what it starts with, isn't it? Knowing who we are, then again knowing who our clients are, and then knowing what they need to know, because again it's a level of, I think in this industry as dog trainers we try and prove ourselves to other dog trainers. And one
yeah,
thing that I went through is spending thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds on courses and things I didn't need because such and such said I needed to be part of this clique. And then once you're part of this clique, someone else says you need to be part of that clique. And then you just
Yeah.
end up in this rat race of like chasing courses and things like that. And this is why I'm so adamant now, even as a coach, like just understand who you are and who your clients need you to be and what you need to serve those clients best. Always, do CPD and keep up with that kind of things, but don't do it because other dog trainers have an opinion on it, because there's always going to be someone else that comes along and has an opinion, and you're never going to win, are you, when it comes to those kind of things?
Yeah. And like you say, it's thinking about the dog at the end of the lead, the people who you're
Mm.
working with, and actually, when you're sitting there thinking, because a lot of the time, the things that you write about where you might have the peer fit, I think, are
Mm.
the ones where you're writing about moments that you've had with your clients where there's been a real breakthrough,
Yeah,
and you feel like you want to share that because you know other people will feel the same, and that's the stuff that really lands and really resonates and will make
yeah,
a difference, and also will make people feel less alone, and all those things, which so it's important stuff, isn't it?
yeah,
And I do feel like they are the posts that people get the peer fear about because
yeah,
it can feel a little bit straightforward, and yeah, and it's why I wanted to do the kind of little bit of a script for people to say. So if they're having this and there is any backlash, I mean, it's really
mm,
basic, but they've got something there. Like I, I know this might make me sound really sad, but I
mm,
have like I've got like I use Asana and I've got things to say when people are awful. I've got different categories. So like I had a big
yeah,
breakup a couple of years ago and that was really difficult. So I've got like things to say when people are awful about dating, things to say when people are awful about work, things to say when
yeah,
people are awful about whatever. And actually just having a few things that you can come back with, I think is really helpful because it
yeah,
just means that you can do that thing that feels a little bit brave. And actually, you know what, when especially when it comes to content, if you're hovering over the send button or the post button or whatever, that's
yeah,
usually the stuff that's really good. Like sometimes I'll have something I'll think about like writing in my newsletter and I'll be like, "Oh, can I say this? Is it weird? Is it going to be okay?" And
yeah.
then that was usually the good stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting what you said there about having the lines of things to say, because I didn't realize till I did more research into who I am and the neurodivergent side of things. That's one thing, because I always used to replay conversations in my head and then think, oh, if I see him again, what shall I say? And I used to rehearse like lines, even though
yeah,
this situation, it was like it may not even happen, but it just used to make me feel better, because I'm like, if they come at me with this, then I can say this, and it just makes you feel prepared. So I think a lot of our neurodivergent listeners will be relating to that and knowing it's just like a little bit of a comfort blanket, so to speak. If I
yeah,
always call it in dog training, especially when I'm teaching agility clients, I call it like a what if plan. So if my dog does this, then
yeah,
what if my dog does this? Well, I'm going to do this. And you have several of these what if plans, and then it just makes things a lot clearer in your mind, so your mind can focus on the job in hand, so to speak, rather than all of these 27 other different conversations or things that might not happen. So
yeah,
definitely, that will definitely be useful for anybody's listening that wants to buy your planner, and even if they just buy the planner for that little section, it's going to be
yeah.
gold for those people. So when it
Oh,
comes
thanks.
to running a dog business, one of the things we need to do is to be visible, which is
Yeah,
really, really difficult, isn't it, when you've got all of these things, you've got all this content that you want to put out there, and you need to put yourself out there to get content, to get customers and clients and things. But how do you approach that with your clients when it comes to visibility and finding ways that they can post themselves out there and be visible, rather than, so it aligns with them, rather than it being kind of a performance and something that they have to do, if that makes
hmm.
sense?
It's funny, isn't it? Because some people it just comes really naturally to them, doesn't it? And I think this is
Yeah,
another thing that people that it's another challenge, isn't it? Because
yeah,
we can look at some people who are amazing at TikTok or who are brilliant writers or who can podcast and they sound like, they're on Radio 2 or whatever. Um, and then we compare ourselves because we don't have those skills. Like,
yeah.
so one thing I'm always kind of getting on my soapbox about is video. So I know you probably can't see very well here, but I broke my nose when I was really young, and I also got my teeth kicked out by a horse, and
Oh wow.
I've always been really self-conscious. So I don't really I do video, but it's not something that I feel really really comfortable with. But I always
Yeah.
get emails. Don't know if you get these as someone with a podcast, but I get emails every day saying, you're leaving money on the table because you're not on YouTube. You need to be on YouTube and all this stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, you don't know me because I can't, yeah, I don't want to do YouTube. I'm really self-conscious and I find video hard.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is, it's thinking about, okay, what's going to feel, what is going to be okay.
Hmm.
So that might be, for example, if you make, let's say, for example, if you want to, you're wanting to build up to being on video yourself, you might just show you walking your dog first. So like it might just be your hand in the lead, and then you might build up to,
Yeah.
seeing you. But also thinking about, okay, well, what do I enjoy? What are
Hmm.
maybe some of the strengths and skills that I bring from my old world
Yeah.
I can bring along here? Do you enjoy photography? Do you enjoy writing? Do you enjoy, there's lots of things that people are already doing that they can
Yeah.
bring into it. Um, and then it's thinking about, okay, well, what's going to be like a manageable thing, and what are the things that I don't. I know there's all kinds of information out there about like what kind of content pillars you should share and all that kind of thing. Again, I think this depends on the individual. I
Yeah.
don't think there's a one size fits all. But what we do need to be doing is telling people in some way that we exist. We need
Yeah.
to be telling people how they can come and work with us. So we need that, that sales call to action content. We need to be sharing examples of people we've worked with and how it's been for them. And,
Hmm.
simple things like, timetables, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is about thinking, really getting back to, really stripping it back to, okay, what are the things that you need to say? And what are the skills that you already have, and what is the easiest way for you to say it, and what are the
Mhm.
ways of saying it and putting yourself out there that you feel comfortable with, and then
Yeah.
building it up from there. And
Yeah.
that might be, there are people out there who don't do social media, aren't there? Like people out there
Yeah.
who go to networking meetings. Like I go to networking meetings here, and I don't have like I don't have a local business as such, but it's nice to go out and see people. But
Yeah.
there are lots of people who work locally who don't need to be like, for example, I know we're talking about dog businesses, but like the bloke who fixed I had a leak in my bathroom the other day. He
Yeah.
said he won't go on Facebook because if he does, he gets loads of people and he's too busy, and
Oh,
he
wow.
doesn't post anything on Facebook because it's all
Yeah.
word of mouth. So
Yeah.
you might be full from networking. You might love going networking, so you could fill your business from that. You can
Yeah.
go collaborate with other people. You can put on open days. You can do so many different things. You can look at SEO,
Yeah.
which is, I write, we write on our websites regularly. That stuff is ticking away in the background all the
Yeah.
time, where it's not you being forward facing. You are sitting and writing at your computer, and it's going on your website, and you're not having to push it out. It's being found
Yeah.
organically on Google. So there's so many different ways you can do things, and it's about finding what's going to work for you and then having a little bit of a system and a bit of a cadence when it comes to doing the things that you need to do to be visible. So for me,
Yeah.
for example, I've got a holiday cottage. So
Mhm.
um, I have to tell people I'll have a happy dog there. I might have a review. I might talk about a renovation that I've done. I might share a favorite walk. I might talk about a restaurant in the area, and then I'll post my availability every month because that's important. People can see when they can book in, and
Yeah.
I think I listed 6 different things there. That's fine because that will just keep things ticking over.
Yeah.
I'm happy, and it's
Yeah.
not overwhelming. It's not scary. I've just figured
Yeah.
that's how I'm going to do it. So it's about like, what's your version of that? And
Yeah.
yeah, taking it from there, really.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to planning, isn't it? And I think that's one
Yeah,
another thing that you're passionate about. And but when it comes to planning, it can either you get these people that are really good at planning and they're really organized, or then you get the other side of it that are just completely overwhelmed. And one thing I notice from having both autism and ADHD, my brain fluctuates on a daily basis, and my autism brain likes to be very structured and routine and knows what I'm doing. My ADHD brain, on the other hand, is what impulsive, and it just likes to, to be spontaneous, like
yeah,
spontaneity and things. And sometimes these two don't align. And as much as I want to kind of like rein them in, some days I'm really organized and other days I'm not. So for me, it's about finding little tips and tricks and strategies that work with both sides of my brain. But when it comes to planning, it's one thing that I know is absolutely key, especially if you've got a dog business or any kind of business to help you move forward, isn't it? But how do you help your clients that when it comes to them planning in a way that's productive rather than them something that's scary and overwhelming?
so what you've just shared there about like the two sides of you when it comes to planning. I
Yeah.
think that's actually a really good way to be, because you can have okay, every month I need to share, these are the things that need to happen every month. But
Yeah.
then you've got that spontaneity, and
Yeah.
I think the things that happen in the moment, those, videos or posts or ideas that come to you when you're in a class or when you're working with a client, that's the really good
Mhm.
stuff as well. So actually, if you can do both, then that's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, particularly at this time of year, so we're chatting in January, aren't we? And there's so
Yeah.
much out there, isn't there, about, what you should be doing for the year ahead, and are you,
Yeah.
absolutely firing on all cylinders, or are you still hiding under a blanket? And it's
Yeah.
think with things like this, I was writing about it actually because I was did a podcast for this week about planning and about finding a plan that works, putting together a plan that works for you. And I think in there
Yeah.
we've got to think about, touched on it a little bit before, but what your skills are, what your strengths are, um,
Yeah.
a little bit about what your values are, what your goals are, and and also what your energy is like as well, because your energy is really important, isn't it? So
Yeah.
thinking about all of those things when you're thinking about your planning, because I'm single, right? I've got the only thing I need to look after is a very little dog who's really low
Yeah.
maintenance. But I've got people who've got clients who've got like 40 animals and
Yeah.
a husband and some small children. So what they'll be able to do and what I can do is completely different. So it's thinking about
Yeah.
all those different factors that come into it, and it's about sitting down and thinking, okay, well, I know we like, obviously we have to put ourselves out there. We need to make money, but it's like, what do I want to do? What am I feeling energized by? And
Yeah.
what's absolutely sapping the life out of me? And when it comes to planning, it could be planning your social media, but it could also be planning, what you're going to be doing in your business. So you might be, you know, like behind me, I've got like a wall planner for my normal business, but also for the cottage as well. And I've got lots of
Yeah.
different things that are in there that have to be there and that don't. But if you start in, like, at the beginning of the year, for example, what I would suggest with my clients would be to like have a little bit of a sit down and think about an audit was the word I was trying to think of. Have an audit about all the different things that you've got. So for, let's say, if you're a dog trainer, you might have one-to-one puppy classes. You might do like an adventure walk on a Sunday. You might have a social where you go and you go to different places. But you might be finding that the puppy classes are really taking it out of you, and you're not feeling as lit up by them, but you're really enjoying. You've just trained as a canicross instructor, and you really want to bring canicross into your social walks.
Yeah.
It's like, well, these are the things that we need to think about when we're planning. Then, so
Yeah.
actually, if you're looking at the things that you're doing, and your energy's feeling like, I don't really like doing the puppy sessions anymore, but I really want to go and do the canicross stuff. Like,
Yeah.
let's move over here and let's start doing a little bit less of those. So
Yeah.
it's really about tapping into what you want. And the other thing I would say is, and I know I sound a bit like I'm like nearly 50, so I might sound a bit like old-fashioned and stuff, but stepping away from the screens and the noise and everything else, and sitting down actually with a piece of paper and a pen somewhere quiet and thinking, what do I want? Like, what do I want from the month ahead, the year ahead? And then really, really digging into that, and then starting your plan from there. And then if you're thinking, okay, well, I want to do, a weekly social walk, a fortnightly canicross, and then it's like, well, okay, these are the things I want to do, and then okay, it all filters down into the plan. So,
Yeah.
you might post every week about your weekly walk, and you might send an email about your canicross thing.
Yeah.
It will all fit into place when you know what it is where you want to be, and what's lighting you
Yeah.
up, and what you're enjoying, and what's working, and also what isn't.
Yeah.
That felt like a really long ramble, but I hope it made sense.
No, I don't mean, I know, and it aligns with everything I always talk about, and that's why my logos are all made up of jigsaws, whether it's dog training, agility, business coaching, or my neurodivergent work. It's like, because to me, everything is like in this industry is like a jigsaw, and one
Yeah,
piece always fits next to another piece and stuff. And it's like knowing that, whether it's training a dog or planning your own life, everything always interlinks, and you've got to have these jigsaw pieces in place for it all to work together. So it kind of makes complete sense what you were saying there. And one of the things I made a note of to talk about is when it comes to planning, And what I always tell my clients to do is to plan the fun in first, because
Yeah,
when we're planning and we're thinking about our businesses, we always go right. Well, we need to do this, and it's always work, work, work. But especially since I've tapped more into my neurodivergence and understanding my energy levels, and again, getting stuff back from my counselling days, you might have heard of this before, where you can have activities that either like lift you or drain you.
yeah,
And I always talk about how even some clients can do that with the best of intentions. We love our work, but we've all probably had clients that that drain you a little bit more than others, and then you've had others that light you up and really energize you and really enjoy working with. So when it comes to planning, you can even like structure your diary for those things as well. So when
yeah.
I used to teach beginner agility people, and there's nothing wrong with beginner agility. It's just for me, with my brain, I love all the intricacies of behavior and that kind of thing. So although it was I was doing good work and stuff, they were all having a lovely time. I used to find beginner agility training incredibly draining because I wanted to get into the nitty-gritty behavioral stuff, but that's not what my clients wanted. They just wanted the fun, the dogs going over the jumps and stuff. So I would come home completely drained, and sometimes I just have to go for a lie down. I know it's because of my neurodivergent brain, but back then I didn't. And then
Yeah.
so now it's as much for me about planning in the rest days, or planning in the late, if I've got a draining activity, making sure the other side of the diary is filled with something that's going to lift me back up, or even just to rest for a little bit. And I think
Yeah,
that's equally as important, isn't it, when it comes to planning?
definitely. So I'm totally with you on the energy thing, and also, you know, the way that we work kind of online as well with like booking systems and things like that. These are things that you kind of take for granted, aren't they? But
Yeah.
my most productive time is in the morning, so
Same.
I try not to do anything like I do have a call with my membership that's like late on a it's actually tonight, it's on a Tuesday night, but I do it once a month. It's a workshop, but it's more because more people can get to it, and I want them to be able to come if they can. But
Yeah.
a lot of the time, I'm much better in the daytime, but I will try to keep my mornings free because that's when I'm good at writing and I can get that
Yeah.
good stuff done. In the afternoons, yeah, I love having conversations because you get your energy back from that, don't you? So I'll have my
Yeah.
coaching calls in the afternoon. And then the other thing I've tried to do as well is I used to do calls on a Monday, stop those now, and Friday as well. So you've got that time for time to look after you and do the
Yeah.
things that build you back up again. And yeah, okay, I am, I will sometimes put stuff in those days, but I know that I've got that time to build myself up
Yeah.
again, and to yeah do the things that light me up, and also things like things that you like, for example, like we've both got podcasts, haven't we? So
Mhm.
like working on those and doing your creative stuff where you
Yeah.
haven't got interruptions. I mean,
Yeah.
again, there's so much signs out there, isn't there, that I never used to take any notice of, but things like
Yeah.
turning your email off when you're trying to concentrate and things like that.
Yeah.
All these things that you learn, or that you pick up along the way that will help you. Um, I think these are important things when you're planning as well to think about, when is a good time for you to be writing, and not to be really strict with it. Sometimes things will come to you. I imagine you're the same, definitely as a podcasting person. But you'll have ideas for your podcast or ideas for social media when you're out walking your dog. Like I use like the Otter voice note app. So
Yeah.
I'll have an idea for an email and I'll just ramble into my phone, and then I'll be able to come back and transcribe it. And there's
Yeah.
loads of tools out, there's so many great tools out there now, isn't there, that can help you. So it's thinking
Yeah.
about, okay, well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to be really prescriptive with what I'm going to do with my social media. Yes, I might have a post every week that I can schedule, but I'm
Yeah.
going to have this creative time as well. And if something comes to me when I'm walking the dog or driving or wherever, I'm going to capture that and I'm going to share that as well, because that's going to be the really good stuff. So being
Yeah.
flexible, not thinking I have to have this plan. And the other thing about planning as well is things usually take much longer than you think they will. So you might say, oh, if we use like health and fitness because it's an easy example, isn't it? I'm going to
Yeah.
lose a stone by April. Things always take longer, don't they? It's hard.
Yeah.
There's going to be things that are going to come along and get in the way and bumps in the road. So it's about factoring that in as well, isn't it? And being
Yeah.
really being flexible and just being a bit nicer to yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's it. That's one thing I bang on about all the time is flexibility and it being so important. And I think we've talked before about you've mentioned that you've moved away a little bit from those course programs that seem more structured and rigid
Yeah,
into more flexible programs. And for me as well, that's super important because being neurodivergent, there'll be lots of neurodivergent people listening, but it's like anything, we're all individual, even though we've got similarities with, we might, they all say that autistic people like structure and routine, but
hmm,
not all of them do. We're all very,
yeah,
very individual. And I think that whether you're neurodivergent or not, having that flexibility, we have it a lot with dogs when we're training dogs and we're like, this dog's an individual and, we need to take each individual case, by case basis. But when it comes to ourselves, because there's so much noise out there and there's so many people with opinions, we're not as flexible with ourselves, are we? And I think from a coaching point of view as well, have you found that since you've dropped those kind of rigid course structures, it's helped your
yeah.
coaching clients to progress more?
Yeah, it's a funny one this. So when I was thinking about this chat, the programs so when I first started doing this, the program that I did was about how to get press coverage. So it was prescriptive, and it
Yeah,
would have just been annoying if it had a more coaching approach. And the thing is I still will be directive, prescriptive, however you want to describe it. If people come to like for example, I've got this client Louise. She does Pilates and Canicross, and she was chatting to me about something the other day, and I was like, don't send it as an attachment. You need to cut and paste it. So that's information that I know because I've got that background. So it will be prescriptive. But I
yeah,
think I was, and the other thing is like I came into, I've only been working online for 6 years really.
yeah,
So I'm pretty new as well. And when I
mm,
first started doing this, I did have a coach, had a really good lady called Janet who I worked with, and she was a journalist. She'd started an online business as well. So she was
yeah,
great, but I did join other programs where it was really prescriptive and really directive, and I found it hard
yeah,
because, again, like I was saying about video, like I don't like doing video. I would do it, but I find it hard. And there was one program where it was like really video focused, and
mhm,
that didn't work for me. And then I wanted to learn because I knew I was telling people how to get press coverage and I was calling myself a coach, but I wasn't qualified. I am a
mhm,
bit like of a girl guide when it comes to things like this. So I wanted to go and train and be able to say I was actually a qualified coach. And
yeah,
then I've had, I've had like lots of therapy over the years. So I've always been really interested in that kind of thing. And there are some parallels, aren't there, with coaching and therapy. Um,
yeah,
and it was really learning that individual approach that
mhm,
made me think, I really just have got to change the way that I'm working. So
yeah,
I dropped the Getting the Press program. I started my membership, which was about being
mhm,
visible. But even right at the beginning, when I first started it, all we used to do was like I'd do a coaching call and there'd be like a little bit of a forward planning video that I'd do. It was never
yeah,
prescriptive. It was more like, okay, well, there's all these awareness days and there's these things going on, but some of these are going to be relevant for you. Some of them you're going to want to get involved in, some of them you won't. Some
yeah,
of you will like to do video, some of you will do carousels. You're all going to do things differently. I'm going to
yeah,
try and give you everything that you need in here. So if you need to write up, my background's journalism, but I've done lots of blogging training. I'm not
yeah,
an SEO expert, but I know enough. I've got a
yeah,
podcast, I've done that. So I put in everything that I do know. I never kind of BS people and pretend that I know things that I don't. But I
yeah,
was like, I'm going to create this library of things that are going to help you, and then you go and pick the bits that work for you.
yeah,
And then now I love doing the coaching calls. I've done
yeah,
obviously done a lot of coaching training because not only do I think, and you'll know this, you'll have this as well. It's so rare that you actually get people who listen to you now, isn't it? I remember
yeah,
having when I first started doing my training and having one-to-ones
yeah,
with my coachees then,
mm,
and just like it being such a thing to be have somebody listen to you. Um,
yeah,
so that's what I love about the calls. And then the other thing
yeah,
that happens is one person will come along and with a topic, and then there'll be other people who have felt the same thing, and then there's that kind of,
mm,
oh, it's not just me sitting here thinking X, Y, Z. Other people have it too, and then that
yeah,
helps build confidence, and then they support each other, and it's great. So I
yeah,
love how I work now. Like I do sometimes think, I remember doing a program a few years ago, and they were like, well, coaching's wishy-washy. People need to know about outcomes. They need to know that you're going to help them have a 5 grand month or a 10 grand month, or you're going to get them 10 pieces of press coverage, or they're going to do
mm,
this or whatever. And it's like, well, I can't predict that because everybody's
yeah,
different. So, and
yeah,
I stuck to my ground with that, and really glad that I did because
Yeah.
I would have ended up. I mean, everyone's allowed to change their mind and stuff, aren't they? But I would have ended up going off in a direction where I'd then feel,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
I was prescriptive when I used to do my press training, and still am, but I
Mhm.
feel okay with the fact that, yeah, okay, I might have pushed back on this whole you being wishy-washy thing because you're talking about coaching and it's not,
Yeah.
people don't care. I used to get told, oh, people don't care about coaching, people don't care about qualifications, people just want results. They want to see that you're going to help them get these income goals.
Mm.
And I always just thought, but I can't say that.
Yeah.
I can't promise because I can't.
Yeah.
And I think a bit of it is like, because I've been a journalist, I worked on like the tabloids and stuff, and you were always getting told off,
Yeah.
like
Right.
monstered basically. And you'd always have to cover your backside. So you would never say anything that wasn't true.
Yeah.
You'd obviously never
Yeah.
print anything that wasn't true. And everything
Yeah.
that you did, you'd have to be able to back up. And I think there's still a bit of that in me, in that
Yeah.
I don't want to make. I've just been on the radio today talking about this lovely lady who's won an award, who's a dog groomer. And I
Yeah.
could tell the lad on the radio was like, well, I want to say that it's all because of you. And I'm like, but it isn't because of me. This is what
Yeah.
happened. I, said it'd be a good idea, but it's not because of me. You can't say that. Um,
Yeah.
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 So I can't
Yeah.
remember what I'm sorry, I've gone off on one again, but the
Yeah.
coaching approach and just helping people like just feel heard, I think is really
Yeah.
important.
And I think as well in our industry, there's a lot of that noise out there about people getting success and hitting these grand figure months. And for me, I mean, yes, obviously businesses need to make money, but for me, I'm not massively motivated by money. Money isn't a massive driver for me. For me, it's like values and ethics, which won't make me the next millionaire, sadly. But when I had coaching once from a coach that they were very focused on, you need to hit these 5K months, these 10K months. And fair enough, they do that with certain clients and stuff, but it just wasn't aligning with me. And some of the stuff that they were telling me, the strategies they were using to hit those months just wasn't stuff that I wanted to do. And I think
Yeah,
it's really important, isn't it, that it all, for me, it all goes back to the individual clients and what they want. And, whether it's business coaching, dog training, or whatever it is, it's knowing yourself again and the service you deliver and knowing your clients and what they need. Because
yeah,
for me, that just wasn't a right fit because although I was paying them a lot of money, I wasn't interested in 5, 10K months. I
yeah,
wanted just to help people and their dogs and things. So that strategy, the strategy that they were making me do, just felt icky. And I just didn't do them, which means that I wasn't getting the success. So then they weren't getting the success because it just wasn't aligning. And I think there's a thing, isn't there, in this industry that, it is all about, hitting these big targets and getting these big results. And I think it all feeds into, maybe the imposter syndrome when they see, and the peer fear as well, because they see other people shouting about, oh, I've had my first 10K month or whatever it is. But it is so individualized when you're running a business with your own capacity, how much you can do, how much you
yeah,
want to do, the type of services that you're selling, and what you can actually charge for those services. So, when it comes to your coaching clients, how do you help them to understand what success looks like for them, but in a realistic way to say, well,
mhm,
this is what you want to hit, even if it is a monetary goal or
yeah.
whatever, but we need to be more realistic about how we're going to get there.
Yeah, it's that whole enoughness, isn't it? So
Yeah.
like I've got this business, the coaching business, and I've got the cottage business as well, and then I'm involved in my dad's old business as well. So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
We don't know what else people have got going on, do we? So
Yeah.
somebody might look at at what I'm doing and think, oh, she's a bit rubbish because, she's not got hundreds of people in a membership, but I've got these
Yeah.
other things that I have to commit
Yeah.
to as well, and I work with people one to one. So I think, when working with people on things like that, it's about what enough is for you, and like you
Yeah.
say, your energy levels, your skills, and the things that you want to do.
Mhm.
There's a lot of talk out there, isn't there, about scaling and high ticket and things like that.
Yeah.
And again, from what I've worked at, I imagine you would have had the same, but you also find that people who have been burned by coaching will come. I find people will come to me because
Yeah.
they've been burned, and they want that very person-centered approach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pricing, again, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on pricing, but what I know is this: if you're not
Yeah.
comfortable with your pricing, if it feels too stretched, it's going to hold you back because you're not going to talk about it. You are going to feel awkward. It's going to be
Yeah.
difficult to post on social media. It's going to be hard to have those conversations with your clients when you're on those calls saying it's £500 or whatever it is. It's going to
Yeah.
be hard and that's going to hold you back. So it's about really thinking, yes, stretch people. Yes,
Yeah.
have targets. Yes, ask people, I will, if I said, if I was on a call with a client and they said, I want to get 10 new, I'm going to do this launch, I'd love to get 10 new members.
Yeah.
I might stretch them to say what would be, what would be good, better, and best. And, good might be 8, best might be 10, best might be 12. So
Yeah.
it's not about, it's not about, letting people off the hook or anything like that. Although I do a lot of letting people off the hook as well because I don't want them to feel stressed out. It's yeah, it's finding out about like that person and their, like you say, their capacity, their energy, and the other
Mhm.
things that they've got going on, their commitments. If they've,
Yeah.
you might be working with somebody who's got a new baby, they can't be on Instagram or TikTok, I mean, 10
Yeah.
hours a day, can they?
Yeah.
You might be with somebody who's got their own TV show, so they are going to have a completely different way of being able to work and reach people. So it is about really
Yeah.
finding out what that individual person in front of you needs, like you do with the dogs. You look at
Yeah.
the dog in front of you, don't you? And I did a podcast that I've put out today, right, and went off on one a little bit about it. But I was thinking about, because we were talking, weren't we, before Christmas, but about
Mhm.
agility, and I had a little cocker spaniel growing up called Charlie, and
Yeah.
I was thinking about like if I got a dog and I wanted them to be an agility champion, all of the different
Yeah.
things that were put in place to support them. And it's about
Yeah.
thinking about that for you. So,
Yeah.
if I had a dog and I have got a dog, obviously, if I wanted Patch to be an agility champion, I would go and do some training. I'd get some, I'd make sure he had all the right harness and maybe some
Yeah.
toys, and he'd have the right food and all these different things. And I'd consider
Yeah.
his age and all these different things I'd factor in there, wouldn't I? To
Yeah.
make sure that he had absolutely everything that he needed to thrive.
Yeah.
And it's about doing that for you and doing that for
Yeah.
my clients as well. It's like, if you find writing hard, for example, where is an environment where you would find writing easy, and
Yeah.
thinking about the things that they find difficult and thinking, okay, what can we do to either make it easy for you, or maybe you might go and outsource it. It's again just coming back to finding out lots of information and it all being about that individual.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Just going using the agility as an example, from a trainer's point of view, one of the things, the main reason I put down on the agility business because I want to expand the work that I'm doing now as a neurodivergent dog coach. But one of the things I felt as an agility trainer is because it's such a competitive performance-based sport, everybody expects you to win all the time, and I always have to just laugh at the walls behind me
Oh
because
no, I was going to
there is a
say
lot of
there's a lot of red
rosettes
there.
there. For me, I've always been. This is why the whole jigsaw analogy came, because it's for me, the result should just be a byproduct of the relationship you have with the dog. So almost my rosettes I get just. I won't say they happen by accident because obviously I do train my dogs and stuff, but I listen to my dogs. I understand my needs and my
Yeah,
dog's needs, and it just transfers into that. However, because my young dog at the minute has his own little issues, we've gone through anxiety and those kind of things, and also because of my capacity as a wife, as a mum, as running multiple businesses, you can't you can't be out there every weekend bringing rosettes home because number
yeah,
one, the dog doesn't. It's not always something the dog's capable of, but also it's such a hard place to be when you're in a competitive sport like agility because you see other agility trainers that may be higher up or whatever. And then I had to sit with myself and think, do you know what? I haven't got the same capacity as them. I'm not going to
yeah,
every single show every single weekend. I cherry pick the shows that we go to, and now I go to even less because I go to the ones that are local, half an hour away from me, because I have other commitments. My son's go to college and he's got a job, so I need to be taxi for him quite a lot of the time. My husband works shifts. We've got other dogs at home and stuff, so it's really hard not to compare. Like, well, that trainer is winning, I don't know, 10 rosettes every weekend,
yeah,
yet you come home and sometimes you haven't got any. And it's kind of that kind of, how does this look from the outside point of view? And so that's kind of another example of it when it comes to capacity and understanding your
yeah,
own capacity. And it takes a little bit of the mindset work as well to actually, without sounding like I'm blowing my own trumpet, because I hate that. I am pretty good at what I do when it comes to agility behavior work. Otherwise, nobody would get any results. But it's like you knowing that and me knowing that, but then comparing yourself with someone who goes to a 5 day show and has 4 runs a day and has multiple dogs, you've got no rosettes that weekend and they've got 30 or something. It
Yeah,
is difficult, but it is having that conversation, is it, with yourself about, they're completely different. Yeah, they might be single with no children and no
yeah,
commitments. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and I think that's the one of the reasons that I built up the communities I did, because I was like feeling completely isolated. Like I am feeling lonely, and like it was only ever me. So that
yeah.
if I'm feeling like this, other people might be feeling like this. So I created the communities, and I know I'm part of quite a few other different communities on Facebook as well. And I know communities are something that you advocate for a lot. So when it comes to your clients and you're advising them to find communities that suit and support them, how do you advise them to look for those specific communities rather than, there is some toxic ones online, isn't there,
Yeah.
as well? So how do you steer them in the right direction?
Again, I think it's thinking about like what do they what is it that they're looking for from the community? So,
Yeah,
and it can be like loads of different things, can't it? It might be you want to go, I've just joined a community, for example, about Instagram, and it's great. So you might
yeah,
want to go and learn about Instagram. So that's finding the thing that you are looking for in the community, and um and also like what kind of I remember writing about this, about like what kind of culture you need that community to have. So
mm-hmm.
is it friendly and warm and supportive? Is it has the person, or is it very much kind of not command and maybe it is a bit command and control. The person who's running it is the leader, and
Yeah,
everybody
quite structured,
follows.
and
Yeah,
yeah.
is it very structured? Is it um, how often are they meeting? Are
Mm-hmm.
you like I go in communities sometimes and people have the cameras off, and I'll find that a bit unsettling because I think, it's really
Yeah,
nice to see people's faces, isn't it? But I know some communities are like, some
yeah,
communities camera on, some are off. What level of support and accountability we have from that community? Do you want to go to one call a month, or do you want to go to 10 calls a month? Do you want it all to be a Facebook group? What is it that you're looking for?
yeah,
And also making sure that that community matches your needs. So if you want to
yeah,
go and if you want to go and be in a community where you getting that community support because you're a dog trainer and it's just going to be with
mm-hmm.
other dog trainers, that could work really well for you. But actually, if you're a dog trainer but you want to learn from other businesses, then maybe it might be a more general thing that you'd need. And then also, I think the good thing with how the world is now is that you can really kind of get to gauge what someone's community is like by list. They
Yeah,
might have a podcast, they might do a video channel. They're definitely going to be showing up on video on social media, so you're going to be able to get a feel of what that person's like who leads a community. And then you
yeah,
can also ask friends, and also look around, go on Google and find different communities and the different types of support that you're looking for. um,
yeah,
and yeah, and the great thing about the online space, like we're old enough to remember life before
yeah,
social media, aren't
yeah,
we? Is you can go and
yeah,
find communities for absolutely anything, can't you? Like
yeah,
it's so good. I remember when I first joined a membership, and it was when I was still like full-time journalism. And the
mm,
only communities I knew were Facebook groups for other journalists, and they were all, because the industry was really changing and the budgets were being cut, everyone was scared, and
yeah,
like anyone who was trying to do anything different, like blogging, everyone was taking the mickey out of them. And it's like, oh, these bloggers are taking our jobs. And oh, yeah, it was a lot of fear. And it wasn't very nice. And you go in
yeah,
there, and like, I started my pet blog, and I remember posting about it, and people really like taking the mickey out of me thinking, oh, God, I don't want to be here. And then I joined a membership it was Janet Murray's membership. I joined that. And I remember going on a Zoom call, and I was physically shaking when I had to say who I was and stuff. And I was dead
yeah,
nervous. But it was a really nice community, and it was like, oh my gosh, there's all these people and they want to see you do well and they want to help you, and
yeah,
it's like, oh my God, this is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, there's so many great communities out there, isn't there? And like, yeah, it's something that's really important to me, that sense of belonging. But then, there are like we all see community differently, don't we? We all want different things. So I think it is about really looking at what it is that you need. Um,
yeah,
I have people join my membership, and they join because they think it's one thing, and then it really isn't. And no matter how often
mm,
I try and explain what it's all about, You
Yeah.
want, you want to be bringing in the right people for people to be joining communities that are right for them. So it is
Yeah.
really, there's a lot of information out there about the different options that you've got. So do a little
Yeah.
bit of digging around and
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think it is. It always goes back to that understanding what you want, isn't it? Who, like, whether that's from a business perspective, of you may need a community to help you from a business perspective, or you may want one to help you from, I don't know, a dog training perspective, or even just to get some friends that have got
yeah,
nothing to do with dogs and things. I think it's really important to understand. The biggest thing that I've learned, especially since having my diagnosis, is just really honing in on who you are and things. And I think
yeah,
whether you're neurodivergent or not, I think we've grown up and we've been told we should be doing this, or we should be doing that, or for me personally, masking, I've realized that a lot. I've spent a lot of years masking, especially as an agility trainer.
yeah,
And then just when you sit down, you realize, you think, actually what you actually want and what you're actually doing can be so far aligned, but then
yeah,
out of alignment. And then thinking about, who am I now? Where do I want my business to go? What type of people do I want in that business? And it's been just going back to the agility versus what I do now at work, is it's been crazy because agility is quite competitive. I've never known such a community, like so polar opposites in the same industry. So I've been involved in agility communities for a long time, but then the communities I'm involved in now and the work that I'm doing now are just completely different. So people that that were strangers on the internet have now become good friends and stuff, and they're just so
yeah,
open and welcoming and helpful and wanting to collaborate and those kind of things. In agility, because I'm okay at what I do and I win a few rosettes every now and again, I didn't actually realize it had a name until I researched it the other day. That is it, the tall poppy syndrome or something like
yeah,
that, where you get good at what you're doing, and people just want to, like, cut you down. And the darts were a fantastic example of that. I don't know if you watch the darts or anything. I don't really. I've just followed that Luke Littler,
yeah,
is he called, that young
yeah.
that,
He's
that
from
he did.
Warrington.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Yeah. So everybody was cheering for him, weren't they, to start off with, wanting him to
yeah,
do really well. And then this second year, or however long he's been doing it now, they're all booing him. And I'm like, that's
yeah,
exactly what I felt in agility. Everybody was so nice to me in agility when I was, not doing, before I was teaching, when I first started competing. As soon as I started to get good, which I did by accident, because I did it just because I was understanding my dog and I was neurodivergent, hyper focused on behavior and all of that. People stopped talking to me, and they're
yeah,
like, they just stopped talking to me, they stopped associating with me. And I was like, hold on. And all I've had for the last God knows how many years is hostility. And like, there's been not very much collaboration or anything like that, because I don't know if they see it as some kind of threat or whatever. And it's crazy because I'm not big headed at all. I don't, I have my rosettes behind me, but it's not something I shout
yeah.
about all the time. It's really difficult, isn't it? But I think that's what I'm trying to say, is the difference in communities. You can find the communities that suit you, but sometimes just being brave enough to get out of your comfort zone. If I'd have stayed in the agility, I wouldn't have met all the fantastic people I work with now. So it's just finding those communities and knowing that they are out there, even though you may feel isolated at the moment, is super important as well, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, definitely. So I decided a couple of, 18 months ago that I'd stopped drinking. Had like,
Yeah.
I won't go into all of the ins and outs of it, but I just had a few things when you just have like a run of things happen that are really hard, and then I just
Yeah.
thought I need to really look after myself here. So I thought
Yeah.
I'll stop drinking for like a few months, and then I really liked it, and I've decided that would be it. And
Yeah.
then I found these amazing communities, right, of people who don't drink, and there's loads of them. Like, and I just was like, I had no idea about this. It even
Yeah.
existed. But one of the one of the communities I've joined is about like it's for kind of women in midlife who don't drink and who want to look after themselves, and it's all
Yeah.
about well-being, and it's been brilliant because I've learned loads of great stuff that I've been able to share with my clients about health and wellness and all that kind of thing. And then, things that I'd already started doing, like doing things like journaling and meditation, which I
Yeah.
totally would have taken the mickey out of a few years ago. Like old me would be like, you know what I mean? I was just drinking wine and being an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been amazing. And like I was thinking about like last year, the year that's just gone and the good stuff that's come out of it. And one of the really good things has been being in these communities of women who are like you, because I just used to think, oh, it's just me who's doing this and I have to be on my own. And
Yeah.
there's communities out there for so many things, isn't there? And it
Yeah.
can be business, but it can be personal as well. And yeah, and actually having been in memberships for stuff that's going to help you personally is great, isn't it? 'Cause,
Yeah.
we've got to look after ourselves, haven't we? Especially as business owners, because we spend so much time on our own, and being around like-minded people who understand you, I think, is so important.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So to kind of wrap it all up, if anybody's listening to this that is feeling maybe they're at the start of the journey, or maybe they're just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, or not knowing what to do at the moment and doubting themselves. So if you could give them one kind of message or one kind of thing that you'd like them to hear, what would that be?
I would say you don't see what I see. And it's something that I say to my clients loads, because we only look at the things that are going wrong, don't we? But actually, take a step back, ask a friend, somebody like, if it was one of your clients, and obviously ask you what you see when you see that person. And yeah, and know that you're doing great. Like it takes guts and gumption and bravery and all those things to go and do what you do. And you
Yeah,
are doing great. And be nice to yourself.
yeah.
And yeah, definitely have that outside perspective.
Amazing, amazing. It's been lovely chatting to you on the podcast. So we always finish up with 5 quick fire round questions just so we can get to know you a little bit more. So are you ready for them?
Go on then.
Everybody always gets really nervous about this, but they're not hard. Number 1, tea or coffee?
Tea.
Yes. See, I'm I always say this at the end of the podcast. I am team tea. My husband's team coffee, but everybody seems to be on team coffee.
Oh
But yeah, so
no.
when I get a tea person, I'm like,
Yeah,
yes.
tea all the
Amazing.
way.
Right, this one might be a little bit more difficult. What is your favorite dog breed?
Oh, I'm going to say terrier because yeah, I've had two terriers. So yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. That's not one that comes up because a lot of people think terriers are hard work, don't they? So
Well, my first one was, my second one is a little angel, but yeah, the first one was crazy. But remember, I'm
amazing.
not a dog trainer either, so yeah.
That's it. Oh, so what's your favorite dog product that is your go-to that you use or recommend all the time?
Oh, I so I love favorite dog product. This is really hard. This is a difficult one. I think if it's a product that I use every single day, it's going to be Reg and Bob leads. So they
Oh,
are
right.
really simple striped leads and collars, and they're really nice. They do harnesses as well. And when I first got Patch, I got him a couple of different colours, and they're just very classic and timeless. Yeah,
Amazing, amazing. I love it. I love it getting these little glimpses into people's lives and what they like. So, lead walk or off lead adventure?
oh my God, lead walk all the way. I'm so neurotic, and I've got a terrier, so yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, I love that. And the last one, what is your favorite way to recharge after a busy day?
Oh, so I do actually love exercising, but I love, yeah, just walking Patch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I quite like
Amazing.
reading as well. But yeah, I think just time with my dog.
Yeah, amazing. I
Yeah,
love that. Super. So, and the most important question ever, if anybody's listening and they want to know more about what you do and maybe working with you, buying your planner, anything like that, where can they find you?
so I'm very easy to find, and thank you. It's rachelspencer.co.uk, and I'm at Rachel Spencer UK on all platforms. So yeah, come and say hi.
Amazing. Amazing. And what we'll do is we'll put all the links below in the show notes. So it's dead easy to anybody listening just to click on and find you and then come and look at what you do. So amazing. It's been really, really lovely chatting to you. I was dead excited when you said you wanted to come on the podcast. So thank you very much for joining me on today's podcast. And for anybody that's listening who hasn't heard of the podcast before, or maybe you haven't had any of the past episodes, then please have a look at those as well. There's lots of different conversations that are happening and lots more to come as well. So that just leaves me to say thank you again to Rachel for coming on, and thank you to everybody who's listened, and we shall see you all in the next episode. Thank you very much.